Story 1. The Secret Lives of Library Cats in Ancient Alexandria. Section 2. Beyond the Prowl, Deterioration, Disasters, and the Fading Light. As we delve deeper into the quiet world of the Library of Alexandria's feline custodians, it becomes clear that their role, while vital against the immediate threat of gnawing teeth, was but one layer of defense in a much larger, more complex tapestry of preservation. The challenges faced by the ancient world's greatest repository of knowledge were extended far beyond the scurry of rodents. The very material upon which this wisdom was inscribed, papyrus, carried within its fibers the seeds of its own slow, inevitable decay. Papyrus, though revolutionary for its time, was not immortal. Its organic nature meant it was susceptible to a host of environmental adversaries that no number of vigilant cats could repel. Humidity, a constant companion in the Mediterranean climate of Alexandria, was a slow, insidious killer, promoting the growth of mold and mildew. These microscopic organisms would feast on the cellulose fibers of the scrolls, transforming vibrant, legible text into a blotchy, brittle mess. Imagine, if you will, the painstaking process of unrolling a scroll only to find vast sections rendered illegible by the creeping tendrils of a dark, fuzzy growth. This was a battle fought not with tooth and claw, but with constant vigilance over storage conditions, air circulation, and perhaps the careful application of protective oils, though such measures offered only temporary reprieves. Beyond mold, the relentless march of time itself exacted a heavy toll. Papyrus, exposed to light and air, would dry out, becoming increasingly brittle. Each unrolling and re-rolling, each touch of a scholar's hand, contributed to its gradual disintegration. The edges would fray, cracks would appear, and eventually, fragments would break off, taking with them precious words and sentences. It was a race against time, a constant effort to copy and recopy texts before their originals crumbled into dust. This ceaseless transcription, carried out by armies of scribes in the scriptoria, was another unseen tedious labor that underpinned the library's very existence. The cats, oblivious to the slow dance of entropy, continued their patrols, their purrs a soft counterpoint to the scratching quills. Then there was the human element. While scholars revered the library, the political landscape of the Hellenistic world was anything but stable. Alexandria, a jewel in the crown of the Ptolemaic dynasty, was frequently embroiled in power struggles, civil unrest, and external conflicts. These grand, destructive forces, far removed from the silent scuffle with a mouse, posed a far greater existential threat to the library and its contents. You might envision a scholar, deep in concentration, suddenly jolted by the distant shouts of a mob or the chilling sound of marching legions. The cats, perhaps, would simply flatten their ears, sensing the shift in human tension, but powerless to intervene. One of the most widely debated events in the library's history is its potential destruction by fire, often attributed, perhaps apocryphally, to Julius Caesar's campaign in 48 BCE, while modern scholarship suggests this incident likely affected a storehouse of scrolls near the harbor rather than the main library itself. It highlights the vulnerability to armed conflict. Imagine the chaos, the shouts, the flames, the desperate attempts to salvage what could be saved. In such a scenario, the nimble paws and sharp eyes of the library cats would have been utterly useless against the inferno. Their very survival would have become a desperate individual struggle amidst the human catastrophe, even if not completely destroyed by a single catastrophic event. The library certainly suffered from a series of declines. Subsequent conflicts, such as the Roman conquest of Egypt, the Palmyrene invasion in the 3rd century CE, and later religious persecutions, chipped away at its collections and its intellectual vibrancy. Funds for maintenance dwindled, scholars dispersed, and the constant influx of new scrolls, so vital to its growth, slowed to a trickle. The vastness of the collection, once its greatest strength, became a liability when resources for its upkeep diminished. In this context of gradual decay and episodic destruction, what became of our feline guardians? Their purpose, intrinsically tied to the preservation of papyrus from pests, would have remained constant as long as there were scrolls. However, their numbers might have dwindled, their care less assured as the library itself faced austerity. Perhaps they became leaner, more reliant on their own hunting skills, scavenging for scraps or catching the occasional bird or lizard if the mice population became too scarce or too wary. Their domesticity, forged over millennia of human companionship, might have softened into a more feral existence within the crumbling grandeur. Consider the psychological impact on the scholars. As the library slowly faded, as scrolls became brittle and irreplaceable, as the shadow of conflict loomed larger, their reliance on the cats might have deepened. In a world increasingly uncertain, the quiet, predictable presence of a purring cat, a creature embodying timeless instinct, might have offered a strange, comforting anchor amidst the intellectual and societal turmoil. You can almost picture an aging scholar running a gnarled hand over a cat's soft fur, finding a momentary solace from the crushing weight of fading knowledge and crumbling institutions. The cat's role also hints at the rudimentary understanding of environmental control. In ancient times, without refrigeration or modern pest control, societies relied heavily on natural solutions. Ducks for slugs in gardens, dogs for security, and cats for rodents. The Library of Alexandria, with its immense and precious collection, was effectively a large-scale application of this ancient wisdom. The cost-benefit analysis was clear. A few bowls of milk and perhaps scraps of meat were a negligible expense compared to the value of a single well-preserved philosophical treatise. This simple exchange, human care for feline service, was a cornerstone of practicality, the silent witnesses to the library's slow decline. The cats would have observed the shifting demographics within its walls, from the vibrant multi-ethnic throng of Ptolemaic scholars to the increasingly Christianized Roman elite, then perhaps to a dwindling number of pagan intellectuals in late antiquity. Each shift would have brought new practices, new priorities, and perhaps new attitudes towards the animals within. Would their sacred status, once so pronounced in Egypt, have diminished under Roman or early Christian rule, becoming purely utilitarian, or would a lingering respect for their ancient lineage and their undeniable utility persist? The very concept of a library cat is not unique to Alexandria. Throughout history, wherever books and documents have been stored, mice and rats have followed, and cats have been their natural predators. From medieval European monasteries to modern-day bookstores, the tradition of a resident feline guardian continues, a testament to the enduring effectiveness of this simple, ancient solution. Yet, the cats of Alexandria held a special place, for they protected not just any collection, but the collection, the grand repository that defined an era of unparalleled intellectual pursuit. Ultimately, the fate of the Library of Alexandria is shrouded in historical ambiguity, a testament to the impermanence of even the grandest human endeavors. While the specific details of its final demise are debated, whether it was gradual decline, a series of fires, or a deliberate destruction, one thing is certain: the world changed around it. And as the scrolls crumbled, as the scholars departed, and as new centers of learning emerged, what became of the quiet guardians who had silently patrolled its hallowed halls for centuries? Did they scatter into the streets of Alexandria, returning to a fully feral existence, their long service to knowledge forgotten? Or did some endure, silently carrying on their ancient duties, even as the walls of the great institution crumbled around them?